Rome had many religions, but one of them stands out above all the others, and that is the religion of Mithraism. And why does it stand out? Well, that's because Mithraism wasn't open to just anyone. It was somewhat akin to what we may now think of as a secret society. So today we're going to dig in and have a good look at Mithraism, and we won't just cover the surface foundations of the philosophy of the religion. We'll dig in and we'll have a look at the rites and initiations of this religion and see if we can find out just exactly what was at the core of this mystical Roman belief system. So, many of you, I suppose, have seen the image of Mithras slaying the cosmic bull. It's a very brutal image, but there's far more behind this image than at first seems. But before we get to all the symbolism and the philosophy behind the religion, I just want to mention this isn't a Roman religion, or it became a Roman religion, but its history goes right back to ancient Persia. Now, the Romans were pretty good at accumulating religions. Pretty much everywhere they went, they adopted the origins of the local place. And there was just something about the Persian Mithras that Roman soldiers identified with. And it clearly had a lot to do with the values taught by the belief system, values such as courage and loyalty and brotherhood. But most of all, the initiations, the secret initiations that brought them into this mysterious club. It taught them how to live and die honourably, and it taught them the secrets of transcendence and the mysteries of life after death. It had, in some ways, quite a basic philosophy. There was just Mithras, the bull, and Sol Invictus, the sun god. But this simplicity lent itself to a very real pragmatism, something we all know the Romans were very fond of. So let's get on to that basic understanding and philosophy of this religion. And the first, or perhaps the most obvious imagery and symbolism associated with Mithraism is the image of Mithras slaying the bull. But this isn't just any old bull. This bull is representative of the primordial universe before creation. And so this bull represents chaos. And Mithras slaying the bull represents order. The bull must die so that it can be reborn again, but reborn this time with purpose and structure. In the myth, it's said that when Mithras kills the bull, then wheat sprouts from the animal's tail, and grapes grow out of its blood, and animals feed and gain sustenance from its flesh. So what's this myth really tell us? It tells us that Mithras is the bringer of order. He destroys destroys chaos so that it may be reformed, and he brings life and structure to the universe. Now, as a part of this reordering of the universe, the planets were also formed. And the planets formed a very important part of Mithraism, so much so that they built their temples either underground or in caves. These temples weren't underground just plainly for the purposes of secrecy, but they also symbolized what the Mithraians termed the cosmic cave. In essence, they were capturing the entire cosmos in this little micro-world. The whole cosmos, the same cosmos that was restructured and brought into being by Mithras. And so here they were, inside this microcosmic world, with the statue of Mithras at the head of the temple, and the stars and planets depicted on the ceilings above. Unlike in other Roman religions, these planets, they weren't seen as gods, but they were seen more as gatekeepers to certain levels of spiritual transcendence. And this brings us in nicely to the core beliefs of Mithraism, and the initiations and the grades of Mithraism. But let's first examine what this attraction was, and specifically, what was this attraction to Mithraism to the Roman soldier? As a Roman soldier, then the concepts of brotherhood and loyalty were obviously very important to them, and Mithraism created such bonds that men could trust each other like family. And then there's the values and morals that were taught by Mithraism that were, again, highly valued within military life. Values such as courage, truth, and discipline. And then there's the spiritual protection, and who on the front lines of battle doesn't want to think that after death that their soul is not going to be well catered for. Then there's the age-old allure of sacred knowledge and the promise of being exposed to privileged sacred knowledge. So, as we said before, not anyone could join. You had to be invited, probably recommended by somebody that's already initiated into the cult of Mithras. And if you were accepted as a candidate, then you would have to undergo and successfully complete the first initiation rite. All in all, there appears to have been 7 initiation rites. And we draw this conclusion from various inscriptions and pieces of artwork that have been found related to the cult of Mithras. And I'll just put the list of what we believe they were up on the screen now. And we start with the first rank, or the first degree if you like, which was the Corax or Raven. And we see here there's some possible meanings, but I won't discuss those just now. I'll come to that a bit later, because these ranks all relate to another piece of information that we'll come to a little later. The second rank, Nymphomancer. Oh, got that one wrong, didn't I? Nymphos, bridegroom. Well, you can read them yourselves. So, the English there, soldier, lion, Persian, sunrunner, and the highest rank of all, the father. Earlier, we said that the planets played a very important role in Mithraism. And this is where we come to just what these planets actually meant and represented. And they're all associated with each of the ranks. So 7 planets, 7 ranks. So from this slide, it becomes apparent just exactly what the morals, foundations, and the belief system here really truly represented. And we can see just by scanning through the associations with the various planets. And remember, they didn't see these planets as gods, but rather as levels of progression. Or should I say gatekeepers, spiritual gatekeepers. The planets were seen as spiritual gatekeepers of certain aspects of the human character. And so if we look, for instance, at Mercury, the level for Mercury, which was the Raven, the first grade. It's the first grade, it's the first initiation rite. And we can see that the initiate's task was to develop wisdom and truthful speech and other similar characteristics associated with Mercury. And the possible challenges there were they would probably have to undergo some challenges that would test their ability to deal with things that were associated with that particular gatekeeper of that particular realm. And as we rise through the ranks, we'd be expected to have mastered each and every one of the skills before being allowed to ascend to the next. Now, the way I've listed these planets here aren't in any specific order. In fact, the first grade starts with Mercury and the last grade with Saturn. So pay attention to just exactly what it is that each of these planets represent. For instance, the final grade, Saturn, you would be expected to have ascended beyond all physical limits and have mastered all fear of death. So an adept at the highest possible level, transcending all physical limits and reaching the highest possible level of spiritual attainment. And this last slide puts all of the ranks in order, along with its associated planet and the skills expected to have been attained on completion of that level of initiation. So that's the basis of Mithraism, a very interesting belief system, and one I think that I should personally dig in and explore a little further. Now, I may do another video on this a little later. In particular, I'm interested in the potential crossovers and similarities between this system of belief and that of Kabbalistic philosophy. So I think that could be a very interesting exploration. So that's it for now. If you've enjoyed today's video, then don't forget the thumbs up, the comments down below, and I'll see you again very soon on the next one.